It's time once again for You're Not Crazy But, where we take a weirdly common habit that I tend to think smart adults have, but sometimes beat themselves up about. Sometimes asking questions like, why am I like this? And would it be easier to change? And all of these kind of things. So, anyway, the topic today is I want to talk about that moment before social plans where your whole body sometimes votes no. And then you have this fear of like canceling and how the canceling builds anxiety, but you also feel a sense of relief that you're not doing this thing. So anyway, I guess a lot of people I think label this as like being flaky or antisocial, right? Where you like overcommit and you cancel sometimes and people aren't sure what to do with it. I think it can also be something maybe more practical, like your nervous system doing kind of a budget check. And I'm just kind of wondering if you can help us translate this into something that people can use when it comes up. And essentially, really what I'm asking is the difference between healthy pacing and avoidance and how someone can kind of tell which they're doing, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. And it's funny because as you're describing this, I have this often. However, and when I see this in a lot of clients, like that question of is this healthy pacing or is this anxiety is an important question. So I'm going to speak for me. Um, every Sunday night around 5:15, I think I don't want to go curling tonight because I'm on a curling team. And by the way, we're at the tail end. This is being recorded at the tail end of the 2 weeks of every 4 years when curling is the most popular sport in the world, and then everyone forgets about it. We here in Minnesota keep on curling, even after the Winter Olympics is over. But I often find myself going, "Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to get it. It's just going to be a thing." And I don't want to. And I find that I'm just not wanting it. And um, I remind myself, or I'm reminded by the other adult with whom I share this home, that I love it when I go. And then I go, and the moment I get there, it's wonderful and joyful and amazing and terrific, and we lose most of the time. Um, so that for me, in the moment, I have recognized is almost always anxiety based. And with anxiety based, we treat that different than overwhelmed based kind of avoidance. And Gayle, where are you on this issue? Maybe not personally, but where do you see that difference between anxiety based and overwhelmed? I need to
Like, you
cancel.
know
There's too
me.
much going on. Yeah.
I mean, right. So, when I heard Michael describing this about whether or not this is anxiety or avoidance, I think avoidance we assume, and I think as psychologists we jump on like, oh, avoidance is bad. And I don't know that it is. I mean, I think avoidance can be bad. I think avoidance can be nervous system regulation. I think you have to know who you are and how you find yourself getting energized and in what
Right.
situations you get energized. It's the budget check, right? And where have I been withdrawing from my tank? So, as a person who really does become energized in social situations, I generally don't experience this unless it's like something really new and out of my comfort zone, right? I met a colleague for a networking thing at a restaurant yesterday, and I mean I didn't go, oh, can I opt out of this? I was like, oh, I've never sat down with this person in a social setting before. I'm looking forward to it. Well, it doesn't, that doesn't happen for me very often, but you schedule a meeting with someone executive titled something, and I've never done that before. And like those butterflies hit, right? Like
Right.
that's where I will feel that dread and that drag personally.
Y-
But to your point, Dan, then that's anxiety.
Right. And the question I like to ask is avoidance
Hmm.
is a neutral term. Are you
It should
av-
be.
the question is, are you avoiding it? Here's a question I ask a lot of times with folks when talking about social situations.
Wait. Can I just say one thing about
Yeah,
why
yeah, yeah,
avoidance
of
is
course.
neutral,
Okay, please.
right? Because we do this all the time.
Yeah.
I drove to the place yesterday. I avoided a crash,
Yeah,
right? Like
fair.
avoidance is neutral. That's the
Right.
point I wanted to make. Please
Right.
go on.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So I will, you're getting ready to go to, or you're invited to a work party,
Yes,
and you're sitting back and you're thinking about avoiding it, skipping it, etc. Is this good or bad? Well, it depends on the underlying thought causing you to avoid it.
exactly.
I'm avoiding it because I am really afraid I'm going to say something stupid. I'm afraid people are going to look at me funny. They're going to judge me, and like I'm just feeling too anxious to go. I want to work with that person to deal with that anxiety, reduce the anxiety, and be able to go anyway.
And that
On the
is going
other,
to be
on the
done
other,
with creating accurate perceptions
yeah,
and
absolutely,
assumptions instead
yeah,
of inaccurate ones. Yeah.
right. On the other hand, if they're like, I don't like these sons of bitches all day long, and I don't want to be, I barely can tolerate them at work. I certainly don't want to go have a drink and a burger with them. Like
Right.
in that case, avoidance is fine. So we're really looking at the
But
underlying
that would be
reasons.
spurred on by a different emotion. That emotion
Yes.
wouldn't be anxiety, that would be
No,
dread
it'd be dread or
or
annoyance or
distaste or
frustration
yeah.
or right,
Yeah.
whatever. So we want to really say, what is the cause of your avoidance? Is the cause of your avoidance anxiety and then we overcome it? Or is the cause of your avoidance you really just don't want to do it?
I
In
think I
which
would
case you
add to
might
that
choose
though.
to not do it. Yeah,
I would also say, what would the outcome be if you didn't go?
fair.
Maybe you don't like those sons of bitches, but if you don't go, it costs you potentially your quarterly bonus because you
Yeah.
don't have the networking, et cetera, that's happening. Like there are some outcomes that sometimes, especially in
Sure.
these business situations, there's a monetary something that can be tied to it, even just your perception of, being a team player. So I think you
Right.
got to look at each situation
Absolutely.
specifically and think about the intention, which is what you're getting to. What is the intent here for the avoidance? And
And
if it
getting
is
back.
simply to alleviate anxiety,
Mhm.
then what is that about? And is it because I've had a hell of a week? My mother's in hospice and my father broke his hip and my son went to the emergency room with strep throat. And I
Oh,
like, it's like
what
a
a week.
horrible week, right?
That's a week.
Like
That's horrible.
apparently everyone in my family has health issues. I don't know. I'm making this up as I
Yeah,
go,
please.
but apparently I put everybody in the
Yeah, I was gonna
hospital.
say I don't want to be any member of your
All you
family.
psychodynamic therapists out there listening, shh,
Yeah,
don't
really. So,
comment.
but here's the you are correct in looking at the totality of the picture. But what I want to go back
Yeah,
to the premise of this whole bit.
yeah.
Um, the
As
segmentation,
opposed to wandering down the path and massaging
right?
facts like I did.
But going back to the whole premise here, if you're getting ready, let's say for a work gathering, it's quite possible that of the 38 people who are going to be there, that like 32 of them are sitting at home going,
Yeah.
oh, like I know I should go. I don't want, and for one reason or another, thinking about not going or thinking about how they're worried about it or they don't like the people, or maybe and maybe it's half. I don't know, but there's some number of people who are in that boat with you, also sort of not wanting to go and feeling anxious about it for one reason or another. And that's the part I think that Michael's bringing to us to normalize that you're not the only one in that group of 38 going to meet at the local, whatever that is sitting in your house getting ready beforehand, going, oh God, I don't know how this is going to go tonight. So like that's the part to normalize.
I agree. And I think that's as normal as someone being, excited or looking forward to those kinds of meetings. I just think we are all built a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah, Gail, I almost jumped in when you were describing your family situation there. It was kind of making me nervous. It reminded me of when I was teaching and the end of the semester would come around. There were so many dead grandmas, you really had to watch out all of a sudden. But
Yeah, it was terrible season for grandmas. I remember that.
anyway, so what I'm hearing is like that pre-planned dread does not automatically mean you're flaky.
Correct.
No.
And that relief after canceling isn't necessarily proof that you made the best call either, though, right?
Right.
That like sometimes you have to get over that initial reluctance to go curling to get the enjoyment, and then although I would say there's always good times with that. So
Yeah.
okay, well,
No,
thank you.
I think that's really well stated, and that is the question. Because and I like what you said there about when you choose not to go, you will experience an immediate drop off of anxiety
Yeah.
And if your reasoning is social anxiety based, that becomes rewarding in and unto itself and increases the probability that you'll avoid in the future in a way that is not productive, which is why we really need to assess, is this avoidance due to social anxiety, or is this avoidance due to, I just have had too much going on this week and this would be too much for me. I don't have the energy left in my tank. And it's sometimes hard to figure out which one of those two things it is.
Great. Well, thank you for helping me unpack whether I'm crazy or not. I mean, they
I
or
mean,
someone or,
Asking for
whoever.
a friend.
We're aware.